Personally, if a fight between Godzilla and Cthulhu is how the world ends, well, sign me up. I can't think of a better way to go out. Like this video if you agree. Godzilla vs. Cthulhu. A death may die. Let me start by saying this crossover cooks like atomic fried calamari. That's what it says in the script. Now, Godzilla meeting other famous characters has always been a time for celebration. It's a nice way to bring different fandoms together while introducing cool new ideas and concepts. If you ask me, crossovers are the holy grail of fan service, and I'm all here for it. There is something truly special about Godzilla facing off against Cthulhu, as you'll soon discover. Real quick, big shout out to my friend Kaiju X. Thank you so much for helping with these scans. Thanks again for your help. Our story begins with Kozlov, an undercover agent, getting his cover and teeth blown. The plan was for Kozlov to infiltrate a doomsday cult calling itself the Nightmare Children, a group of men that honestly look like they grew up watching Fight Club. But Metzger, the cult's high priest, saw through Kozlov's deception. I mean, the tentacle tattoos on his face should have been a big giveaway that you're probably not going to get past this guy. Violent interrogations ensue. In exchange for a way out, Metzger wants to know who Kozlov is working for. Like any good cult leader would do, Metzger doesn't wait for an answer. He just starts proselytizing. He invokes Azathoth, which might sound gibberish to many, but it's absolutely terrifying to those in the know. You see, Azathoth is the god of the Cthulhu mythos. It's believed that what we perceive as reality is nothing more than a dream, and it all ends when Azathoth wakes up. But since Metzger is still evangelizing, it must mean Azathoth is still sleeping. Metzger says their patron, Sathagua, who we will see later, will help them wake the dreamers, and the whole world will scream in ecstasy of unbearable pain and terrible joy. The shits like this is why I stopped going to church. Kozlov must feel the same because he tells Metzger he'll see him in hell. Of course, you can't threaten a crazy person with what they want. Metzger strikes Kozlov and everything goes dark. For a second, we're led to believe our extremely well-built, mustached protagonist is dead until he comes to in a hospital room. Stella, a doctor and his partner in this undercover operation, wonders if their hard work has been for nothing. Kozlov assures her his intel gathering was a success. He shares that Kurt Metzger was a former German intelligence officer during the Great War, which informs us that this story is a period piece. Second, Sathagua is a scary demon, but he's just the errand boy for something bigger and badder, Cthulhu. Stella wonders how much time they have, and well, it's enough time for Metzger to monologue again about how great everything is going to be when, the world burns. So did Cthulhu wake up for real? At long last, Great Cthulhu awakens. And he is, I was gonna say epic, but yeah, he is risen. Cthulhu doesn't waste any time. He stomps across the ocean floor, feeding on the ocean. Not metaphorically, but literally. A ship captain named Sandra, who's out at sea to witness this terror unfold in real time, radios Stella the bad news. Despite having a network of good people all over the world, they don't know how they're going to stop this thing. But there is hope. With the ocean dying around him, the great monster, Godzilla, wakes up. Seeing so much death spurs the great kaiju to action. From the prison, Kozlov and Stella see immediately how much danger they're in. Storm clouds gather as Cthulhu arrives in Boston. People freeze in the streets as Cthulhu looms over them like a wrathful god. Metzger and his cult pray to Cthulhu, referring to him as a warrior of Azathoth. Cthulhu's role in the Cthulhu mythos and his relationship to not only Azathoth but the outer gods is a little bit ambiguous. So it's nice to see that in this treatment, Cthulhu is a literal warrior of the great daemon sultan of reality. Kozlov seems to think it's over, holding Stella as he says they tried. To which Stella delivers a good response. History, if there is one, will never forgive us for not trying harder. Not too far, Godzilla is on the move. Sandra sees him pass by, but doesn't exactly know what he is. Which is interesting because that means in this world, Godzilla is a complete enigma. Nobody really knows who he is. Nobody's ever heard of him. I really liked this idea. Sandra alerts Stella, who in turn advises the general to send in everything. The Air Force drop bombs that predictably fail. Cthulhu answers by summoning a demonic air force of his own. Human extinction seems inevitable at this point, until Godzilla chucks the steamboat at the back of Cthulhu's head, knocking the cosmic terror off his feet. Oh no, steamboats! Cthulhu's kryptonite. Somehow, a being that knows everything in the universe didn't see that coming. Or a giant dinosaur.
You didn't see that coming?
Godzilla makes his grand entrance, much to the shock of Cthulhu and Bostononians alike. The army retreats as these two titans fight. Oh man, here we go. With the swish of his mighty tail, Godzilla makes short work of Cthulhu's demonic air force. Meanwhile, Stella asks the general if they still have those experimental atom smasher airships. It's the United States military, so yeah, of course they still have it. Sure enough, the atom smashers are deployed, and the time couldn't be better. Godzilla and Cthulhu are in the heat of battle. Cthulhu tangles up Godzilla with his tentacles, promising Godzilla that he will shred his soul for the glory of Azathoth. Cthulhu delivers a jolting strike, electrocuting Godzilla with cosmic electricity. Godzilla answers back with a thunderous right hook, leveling multiple city blocks. It's a grand 2-page spread, and it deserves to be a poster on your wall. Watching all this madness unfold makes Kozlov believe this is truly how the world ends. Personally, if a fight between Godzilla and Cthulhu is how the world ends, well, sign me up. I can't think of a better way to go out. Like this video if you agree. Godzilla tears off one of Cthulhu's wings, drawing first blood. Cthulhu fans love to quote one of H.P. Lovecraft's most famous lines, "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons even death can die." But to quote the great Arnold Schwarzenegger,
"If it bleeds, we can kill it."
Cthulhu strikes Godzilla with a green bolt of psionic energy that summons ghostly apparitions of Mothra, Anguirus, Rodan, Baragon, and King Ghidorah. I mean, it could be the real kaiju, but they seem more likely to be Cthulhu's psychic manifestations. Regardless, they're real enough that they can actually hurt Godzilla. Meanwhile, the general orders the Atom Smashers to attack. When the pilots ask which one of the monsters, Godzilla or Cthulhu, is their target, the general shouts back, "Destroy all monsters." The Atom Smashers open fire. Godzilla writhes in agony before going down. Cthulhu, however, remains standing. He praises the glory of Azathoth, and I must say, I really like the parallels here between Cthulhu and Metzger. I mean, Metzger, of course, is like a religious zealot, bloodthirsty, completely devoted to his god, who is Cthulhu, but Cthulhu, likewise, is subservient to the will of Azathoth. So it's a nice touch. But anyway, yeah, so Cthulhu continues his war against humanity, leaving Godzilla to drown in a puddle of his own blood. Or not. Godzilla's eyes open. The king of the monsters rises to his feet, his awesome power glowing through his horrendous wounds. Too late, Cthulhu turns to get a face full of burning atomic fire. Godzilla's signature attack swiftly brings an end to Cthulhu's reign of terror. Much like how Shin Godzilla was left in a frozen, comatose state, Cthulhu seems to be trapped in a perpetual state of torment with all of Boston burning around him. A resigned Metzger watches from behind bars, pleading for mercy from Azathoth, but the demon Satagua appears from behind with some bad news. Unsurprisingly, Azathoth is not a merciful god. As Cthulhu and Boston continue to burn, a silhouette of Metzger is seen hanging from a noose. In the epilogue, Godzilla returns to his underwater lair. Kozlov's narration praises the noble monster, calling him a hero. The story ends with Godzilla standing in solitude, reflecting on the ghosts of days gone by. Wow. Okay, Godzilla vs. Cthulhu, A Death May Die was written by Jonathan Mayberry and illustrated by Bruno Abdias. In only 24 pages, Jonathan crafted an exciting tale full of mystery, heart-pounding action, and existential dread. The art delivered. I gotta praise Bruno here. Everything was drawn with great attention to detail, with Cthulhu's design in particular stealing the show for me. Okay, so I've already complained enough about how this comic should have been widely released. It really should have been made available for everyone. I stand by that. It's a real shame too, because this is a really good comic. It's extremely well written. The human characters are great. It would be nice to see them return. I think this issue could have easily spawned a brand new Godzilla vs. Cthulhu series. After all, Godzilla and Cthulhu have a lot in common. They're larger than life beings, they're extremely powerful, and are paragons of their respective genres. Godzilla is the most famous giant movie monster in the world, and Cthulhu is the literal face of cosmic horror. Keep in mind, this isn't the first time the kaiju genre has crossed over with the Cthulhu mythos. Ultraman Tiga's final boss was the Lovecraftian horror called Gitanozoa, which does exist in the Cthulhu mythos. Let's not forget how the finale, the Ultraman Tiga finale, took place at R'lyeh, Cthulhu's dark city here on Earth. Then there's the cosmic horror elements of the Godzilla Earth trilogy, with Void Ghidorah being inspired by the Cthulhu mythos. No matter the story, Godzilla can play just about any role. Likewise, Cthulhu's cosmic horror shtick is fairly flexible. That might come as a shock given his horror roots, but we've seen Cthulhu show up in the most unexpected places. Godzilla vs. Cthulhu is a crossover with enormous potential. Hundreds of stories could be told of these two titans and their macabre of monsters waging all-out war with us puny humans caught in the crossfire. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? Perhaps this comic was a one-and-done event, or maybe it's a sign of good things to come. Time will tell. If you happen to be watching this video from the future, help us out. Give us good news, please. In closing, I'll pass these ideas off to you. What did you think of the story? Does Godzilla vs. Cthulhu sound like an amazing crossover, or should they stay in their respective genres? Share your thoughts down below. I love reading your guys' comments. And yeah, this is it, viewer. This is Tom signing off from Kaijutopia. Thanks again for stomping by.